Hello, everyone. Welcome to your weekly dose of strength. Today, I want to talk about a very familiar character in the scriptures. His name is Joseph. Joseph was a young man when we meet him in the book of Genesis. He is somewhere near about 14, 15 years old. He is the beloved son of his father, Jacob. Jacob loves Joseph more than his other brothers. And he gives him this beautiful coat of many colors. He adorns him with praise and responsibility. And of course, Joseph earns the hatred and the anger of his other brothers. And they start hating him, angry because he is the loved son of his father, and they conspire against him. And his brothers take Joseph and they throw him into this long wells, into a deep pit. And they want to kill him, but the older brother says not to do that. Along comes some Ishmaelite traders. And these Ishmaelites who come by, they are looking for a trade deal. And the brother says, we have a great trade deal for you. They literally trade their younger brother, Joseph, into slavery to the Ishmaelites. And the Ishmaelites take him into Egypt, and they sell him again into slavery as a servant in Potiphar's house. Well, Joseph is this beloved son, this wonderful young man whom God has given such amazing, great dreams to. Joseph has seen himself as a leader of his brothers, a leader of his family. He's seen himself as a leader even of nations. The sun and the stars bow down to him in his dream. But now he is a slave in Potiphar's house. He is told to keep Potiphar's his home, his yard, his animals, and that's Joseph's responsibility. Potiphar's wife eyes him, and she falls in lust with Joseph, and she wants to have him for herself. Joseph, he rejects this offer repetitively, day after day after day, until one day Potiphar's wife grabs him, holds him. Joseph runs away, leaves his coat in Potiphar's wife's hand. She lies and says, Joseph tried to force himself on me. And sure enough, the servants and guards come and they take Joseph to prison. This young man went from being beloved of his father with amazing dreams of leadership, seeing himself in an authoritative position, to being hated by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, serving in Potiphar's house, and now lied on and sent to prison on trumped up charges. And he is in prison, languishing away. While in prison, he meets a butler and a baker, and you guys know the story. And he interprets their dreams because God's given him this ability to interpret dreams. And eventually, the butler is restored to his position. He's taken from prison, brought before the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, back to his position and job, and he forgets Joseph. From a pit to Potiphar's house, to prison. Now he's forgotten by the only guy who could help him get out of the condition he's in. Sure enough, Pharaoh has a dream, and the butler remembers about Joseph and calls him. I want to read to you what it says about Joseph's entrance out of prison. It says, then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. He shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of you that you can understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh and said, it is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. What's the whole point to this dose of strength? That young boy who went into a pit came out of prison a man. That young boy who went into a pit full of pride, full of himself, loved of his father, and gloating about it, came out of prison humbled, came out of prison faith-filled, trusting God, matured and wise. You see, God used all of his calamities and all of his tragedies to make him better. God used the pit in Potiphar's house, and God used the lie from Potiphar's wife, and God used the butler forgetting of him and the prison cell. He used all of it to make Joseph a better person. He emerged from his quarantine, if you will. He emerged stronger. He emerged better. He emerged with more faith and more confidence in God. He emerged from prison a better man than he was when he went into prison. That's what I believe God is calling on us to experience in this sheltering in place and quarantine experience. We're toward the end of it now, and soon we'll be getting back to what we think might be normal. We'll be going back to work and maybe even coming back to worship and definitely getting back to our normal things we do in relaxation and enjoyment and recreation. And I want you to not miss this moment that God has placed us in quarantine, in a pit, or he's placed us in Potiphar's house, in bondage, or he's placed us in prison, or he's caused us to go through being forgotten about and being overlooked by our jobs and careers so that we will grow from it, that we will become better from it, be more matured in the midst of it, that we'll have a better sensitivity to the plan and purposes of God. The Bible says he came up out of that dungeon, shaved himself, fixed himself up, looking better than he was when he came in, humbled and said, God will give you an answer. Whereas before he was trusting in himself, his troubles made him learn how to trust in God. I'm praying that you have learned how to trust in God, that this time of sheltering in place, this time of quarantine, this time of pandemic, this time of sickness and illness and death has taught you how to trust God, how to be more humble, how to be more patient, how to be more trusting, how to have more faith. That it's given you a wisdom you didn't have before we went into this. That it's helped you see God in a way that you've not seen him before this happened. From every negative thing that happens to us, there is always something good. God always takes the bad and the rotten and the horrible, and he uses it to better us. He uses it to strengthen and develop us. Where would we be had it not been for God's hand of guidance, even in the midst of our pain and our struggles? He's got something in store for you to make you a better person. Don't neglect this moment for God to use it for his glory and your betterment. I love you so much. Let's be like Joseph. Let's come up out of the prison better than we were when we went in. Love you guys. I'll see you next week for our dose of strength. God bless.